everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be my December wrap up. So whilst I've still got my tinsel out, I've still got my Grinchy pajamas on, I thought I would film a video that mostly contains festive themed books, because I'm still clawing onto the festive energy, because honestly I feel like Christmas came on us so quickly, and then it just goes, and it's so anticlimactic. So totally beside the point. I actually did film this video earlier, but I just didn't like it. I ended up reading 21 books in December, which is my second highest amount of books I read, which I'm happy about, but most of them was shorter, and my overall page count was the 5th lowest, so yeah. This is mostly because I did do Bookmas, where I uploaded a video every day of the month, so I needed to sort of read shorter books to have content to talk about and upload. That was sort of a main reason, and I was also just sort of craving sort of shorter books, I guess. But it was still quite a good month, I think. I had quite a few 5 stars, which was pleasant and nice. And yeah, I'll leave a link up there to my Bookmas 2022 playlist, because all the books I'm going to talk about have their own, or at least are in another video in the playlist, and I don't want to talk too much about each one, because obviously I've already done that. And if you want to learn more about them, then check out either some of those videos, or you can check out my Goodreads or StoryGraph reviews, which is in the description below. And yeah, let's get on to the first book. So the first book I read was Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. I ended up giving this 3.75 stars. We basically follow a coal salesman, Billy Furlong, in a little Irish town coming up to Christmas, and he goes to a nunnery place to deliver coal, and it sort of deals with these Magdalene nurseries where they took in young unmarried mothers, and they were sort of mistreating the women and the babies and stuff in them. I did quite like it. It had nice Christmassy vibes, but I did feel I wanted a bit more expansion on the topics, and that would have made it a bit better. So if it was longer, I would have preferred it. But yeah, it was still a generally enjoyable read, and it got me into the festive season. Then I read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and I gave this 5 stars. I love this story. It's so imaginative. It's so fun. Not actually fun, but it's really good. I love it, and the ghostiness and the Christmassiness, and it's just really, really great. And I know I know the story off by heart. I've seen so many adaptations, made a video ranking them actually, so I wasn't shocked at what happened, but I still really thoroughly enjoyed reading it, and would totally recommend. Then I read The Left Turn by Becky Parker Geist. This I got through NetGalley, so thank you. I'll link them in the description below if you do want to check NetGalley out, where you can request pre-publication books. I ended up giving this 3.25 stars. Basically, we follow a couple who recently moved to San Francisco, and the woman is sort of dealing with mental health problems and depression and stuff, and the man is still grieving the loss of his younger brother. And they're basically on a bike trip, and then they split into different universes, or versions of their life, and they sort of have to think oh, who am I, and what have I done, what is my life now. And it is, and then they sort of just refigure things out. It's sort of based on a Midnight Library mix of The Alchemist sort of idea, which I did get, and I did quite like the idea of sort of moving like the idea of being in a different sort of life, but it was quite a bit like fate, like this is gonna happen ideology, which was in The Alchemist, I didn't personally jam with. So it was enjoyable. The characters was okay, especially the landlady slash friend of Hannah, which was a woman. She was really nice, and it was sort of unbalanced with like more emphasis on Hannah's storyline to James's, who was the guy. But yeah, it was fine. I would recommend it, in all honesty. It just wasn't necessarily my personal taste. Then I read This Winter by Alice Oseman, which I gave 5 stars to. This is in between chapters 5 and 6 of Heartstopper Volume 4. And it just follows Tori, Charlie and Oliver Spring on Christmas Day, after Charlie has come out of like a psychiatric sort of like place dealing with his like eating disorder and mental health problems, and like Christmas is like tense for everybody, but it's like even more tense for them, and it's just talking about like the previous things, and then we also see like Nick and little Henry, and yeah, I really enjoyed this. It does deal with like pressing topics, but I do feel that like the whole series really handles them so well, and it's like an emphasis on like how much you want to care for someone and how much you want to like show support. It is difficult to actually do so, and just like the power of just like being there, and the like relationship is really great. Such lovely characters. I literally have not a single bad thing to say about Heartstopper, like anything about it. There was like, it was mostly text, it was a novella, but there was some like the graphic like drawings in it as well, which I did like, and I honestly would have liked more, but obviously it wasn't trying to be a graphic novel, it was just being a novella, so I can't like do that for what it wasn't. But yeah, then I read Snowflake by Lucy Nicole, which I also got through NetGalley, so thank you. This I gave 5 stars to. This book was so good. It's a mental health book, a non-fiction, and the author, she talks about the different like stigmatized words like snowflake or like psycho, like moody, or like a different like sort of like words like that, and then she links it to an actual like mental health condition and different ways these words and things have impacted people from like her personal perspective, but also like just general people and also professionals, and it's not like super scientific, it's so like easy to read. I think this comes out like early like January, so not too long, and yeah, it was really accessible, really great. I learned so much, and it also sort of like challenges you, which is a good thing, because it's okay to admit that you don't know all the things you thought you knew, or like things differently. So that was like really great, and like I enjoy being challenged in my reading. Obviously I don't know everything, and I don't go into things knowing that, but it is definitely interesting and eye-opening, and it like sort of like makes me feel like I can be a better like support service to people that are going through certain things, and using like right language and like methods really help them to understand that like what they're feeling is valid. And I really would recommend this. It was so great. And I read Felix Navidad by Nathan Burgoyne. This I got through NetGalley, and I gave this 5 stars. This basically is from the Little Village, I believe, like set of like series, but they're all standalones. Basically we follow like 2 people that go to a wedding in Montreal, and then the main guy, Felix, he was meant to be going to Hawaii, but like there's all bad weather, so his plane gets cancelled, and then at the airport he meets someone else that was at the wedding, who was the groom's ex like boyfriend. I forgot his name now. I think it's like Nick, Kevin, something like that. I totally forgot. and his flight was cancelled as well. So Felix is like, okay, I'll drive us to Toronto, because that's where they was both going, to see if they can get another flight. And then the weather gets like really bad, and they go to a cabin instead. So ... see what happens there. And it is really sweet. It's following that storyline, and it's also thinking back to the year, like the previous year, when Felix was working as like a healthcare sort of like person, like going out to like older people, and his like conversations with a man called Danya, who was an ex-drag queen. And he is such a personality. I loved him. He's so lovable, and like gives all his friends like nicknames. And he's like really adamant on like setting Felix up with someone, and like, does he succeed? We don't know. But yeah, it was really great. I totally loved that. And although it is from a series, a standalone series, there is things like characters and stuff from previous ones that was in it. But it wasn't like a hindrance. It was more just like, oh, like I have more to explore now. Like I'm happy about it, not like anything like, oh, I'm so lost. So yeah, I'm happy about that. Then I read the How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. I gave this 5 stars as well. I really like this story. It's a nice message of like, you know, things isn't just all material stuff, and it's just fun. It's really nice, rhythmic like thing. You have to like sort of like say it out loud to truly like appreciate the lyrical rhythmicness, I guess, of it. Really loved it. Great little book that I would totally recommend. Then I read The Mistletoe Murder and Other Stories by P.D. James. I gave this 4.5 stars. This is like one of the only 3 I read physically, but I borrowed it to my mum at the moment, so I don't have the copy. But it has 4 like short stories, like murder mystery ones that are like drawn the like Christmas period. The first one was definitely my favorite, and then the second, like the 4th one, which was the 12 Clues of Christmas, was my second favorite. And then the 3rd one, the Boxed Inheritance. And then the second one was A Commonplace Murder. That one I was kind of conflicted, because I didn't really like the plot or the characters all that much, but it was still written well, I guess. They are all written well, and on average the stars would have been about like 4.15, I believe. So I rounded up to 4.5 on StoryGraph. No, it must have been like 4.3 something. Yeah. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. They was all like entertaining and like quite like fast paced and short. I think it was only about like 40 to 60 pages each one, so really accessible. The first one was so great. So if you like read any, I would definitely recommend The Mistletoe Murder. That was so good, and I just love how like the main character like put everything together, and like the actual sort of like justification was like okay, it's never like really good to kill someone, but like I don't know, it just personally I was just like slay. But that's what I'll say on that. Then I read A Child's Christmas in Wales by Dylan Thomas. I gave this 4 stars. This is like no like real plot. It's just sort of like him thinking back to his childhood in Swansea during the festive season. It's really nice like poetic writing, because obviously Dylan Thomas is a poet, so there's like nice like descriptions of like the landscape and like his like presents and things, and like how he got like a picture book, and how like he could choose any color to make the like the birds and the sky and stuff. Yeah, it was really nice, like nostalgic-ified, and was recommend for sort of like a short festive pick-me-up-y book. Then I actually finished Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, which I was super happy I actually finished. The book is there, but I don't really want to get it. But yeah, I gave this 4 stars. I did, first of all, I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I like this or not. But then I did sort of get more involved in the story and the writing. I was understanding what was happening and the characters and how it was all like piecing together. it's sort of just like an original enemies to lovers. There's a lot happens, and sort of like character growth and development is an integral part of the storyline, so I don't really want to say anything because it will spoil the actual plots. Elizabeth I did quite like. She was the main character. I liked how she was like headstrong and like didn't really dull herself down, especially like in the time period like Regency, like England, and obviously women didn't have as big a say in stuff. And this especially apparent like when she was talking to like Lady Catherine, who I liked her for having such power as a woman in the time, but she was very like boastful and like, you know, like that. Elizabeth was one of the first people to like talk back to Lady Catherine. I did quite like that. And yeah, the writing was like mostly readable, despite being 200 years old. And I would recommend it. Like, I'm really happy I actually finished it. It's like a big accomplishment. I started it in like May, so it did take me a long time, but I'm glad I finished it nonetheless. Then I read A Visit from Saint Nicholas, which I gave 4 stars. This is a poem by Clement Seymour. I read this on Christmas Eve, and it's really sweet and a nice little rhythmic poem again. You have to say it out loud. Dedicated to all the little children of the world. Really sweet, nice Christmassy vibes. Then I read Christmas at Thompson Hall by Anthony Trollope. I gave this 3.25 stars. I read this on Christmas morning, but it didn't really give me the Christmas vibes I wanted. It basically follows the Browns who are trying to get to Thompson Hall for Christmas. That is like where the woman's like ancestral home is, but her husband is like, I have a sore throat, so they go to Paris to like recoup. They're coming from the south of France to England. And then he's like, I want a mustard plaster for my throat. So she goes on a fast trying to find some mustard and ends up putting it on another man instead. So the next day they're trying to leave early in the morning, but the porter is like, you put some mustard on some guy last night, like, where are you going? And this guy is like a Mr. Jones, I believe. And then like just different like things happen, and it's sort of like farcical. It's all a bit like humorous, but like not that much. And yeah, the writing was fine. The characters were a bit like irritating, but all right. Yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend it. It was fine, but it didn't. It just, I felt like, because I wanted a Christmassy book, a short Christmas audio book, but it did not give me the vibes that I wanted for Christmas Day. So take that as you will. Then I read The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Maxey. This I gave 5 stars. I absolutely loved this. The drawings are beautiful. The things the characters say are just like so meaningful and like so like really great for like the post-Christmas pre-New Year sort of like season, because it's like wintry and like it has all these nice like affirmations and like quotes and things. There's like no plot. It's just sort of like these 4 unlikely friends going about the English countryside, just like having philosophical ramblings. It's lovely. I actually recently listened to the audiobook because it's on BBC Sounds at the moment. I think until probably like the 25th of December, I guess, of January, sorry. So check that out on the app if you want. The audiobook was really, really great. I absolutely loved it, because you get sort of like this calming music, and the narrator, the author Charlie Maxey, really like his pacing is great, and it's so like calming, and there's also like wildlife sounds like birds and like nature and stuff, and it really like brings it to life. And yep, would totally recommend the audiobook. I read it as an ebook, but I would like to get a physical copy as well. And I definitely will be rereading this again. It is definitely one that you sort of want to go back to and nip in and out. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. Then I read Hunted Down by Charles Dickens. This I gave 2.75 stars. This was a short like mystery book about Mr. Sampson, who like is doing something and he meets with Mr. Slinkton, and he's like, you part your hair weird, like it's like off about you. And then like the two men sort of like meet other multiple times as well. And then Mr. Sampson like goes, like he finds out sort of like what Slinkton has been doing, I believe. I mean, I have read it actually. And then he goes on a thing of hunting him down to get the truth out. This was fine. I didn't really get the sort of like likeness of like Dickens like characters and stuff that I was expecting. It was a little bit difficult to know what was actually going on at some points, but it was okay, and I did like the mystery elements. I am definitely interested in reading more of Dickens like mystery books. So yeah, I would recommend it for its like shortness, I guess. But it wasn't like that good, if you know what I mean. Then I read Killjoy by Holly Jackson. I got this as a free audiobook through Apple like books, because I think they give you like, you can download a free book each week, and that was the one for that week. This is the prequel novella to the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson, which I haven't read any yet, but I am definitely intrigued to do so. I would basically follow the main character Pippa, who goes to like a murder mystery theme night with her friends after they finish their AS exams. And basically it's like this Reginald Remy invited his two sons, Bobby and Ralph's wife Lizzie, his niece Celie, who is played by Pippa, the butler Hubert, and the cook Dora, to like his house on the island of Joy, and he gets like murdered, but there's only one boat in the day, so one of the people in the house must be the murderer. She wasn't like that interested at first, Pippa, but she definitely got like into it more, and like she really was like getting like, oh, I like investigating, I don't like taking clues at face value and all this stuff. And in the town where they like live in the actual real life, there was like not that long ago a murder of like a girl, Andy Bell, but everyone thinks it was by Sal Singh, her boyfriend at the time, who then died by suicide. And it's like clear that this like case is still like really prevalent in the town, and everyone's still thinking about it. And then at the end of the novella, she's thinking about the case, and I believe I mean I have read the description of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I think it's like she takes on the case herself to try and like determine if it was actually him that did it. So yeah, I definitely really enjoy it. I love like investigating one, and I was sort of like going along with her and writing down my own clues and trying to think up like who actually did it. It had those sort of like who done it like plots and things. I really enjoyed this, and I definitely want to read the other installments in the series to get to know the characters a bit more, and I feel like it'll be better in a full-length novel and like in like real life events and like her trying to piece together things. So yeah. Then I read The Girl in the Converse Shoes by Yatisa Garcia. I gave this 2.5 stars. This is fine. It's basically about a guy who gets kissed on Halloween, but his glasses were off, so he didn't see who kissed him, but all he saw was that it was a girl with blonde hair and pink Converse, so he sets out trying to find her. It's fine, it's sweet, it's nice little romantic book. It's like 10 pages, so it's like flash fiction. And I know the author has written quite a few, and they're available like for free downloads on Apple Books. That's how I got it, if anyone's interested. And like I feel like it's good if you just want to like you only have a short amount of time, you want to like finish a book and just like dip in and out straight of like a little story. But if you want like any development or like any real plot and stuff, then I wouldn't really recommend it for like the average reader. But it was just something I wanted to just like experience and see if it was any interesting. And I was like, it's 10 pages, like I'll just test it out, whatever. So yeah, I might see some more if I'm interested in some of the other plot lines, but probably not all that much. I don't know, I'll see. Maybe if I need to like get to like my Goodreads goal or something. Then I read Goldilocks and the Three Bears, the retelling, I guess, by Vera Southgate. I gave this 4 stars. I mean, you know the story, it's fine. Justice for Little Bear. The video I read this in was meant to be something else, but it totally went wrong. So if that intrigues you, check out that video. Then I read Love on New Year's Eve by Buffy O'Clair. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. I got this as a pre-publication book by Book Siren, so I'll link them in the description below. This is my first book from this service. Basically we'll follow the main character who like always wanted to go to New York City on New Year's Eve, but with a special someone, but she doesn't actually have one yet, so she went on her own as a treat. And while she's there, she's like, I'm just gonna let the city be my guide, and I just like take things as they come. And then she goes through and she meets 3 different guys, and then she's like, will any of these become like more than just a kind stranger? Will she have her like Sleepless in Seattle kiss at midnight on top of the Empire State Building? I don't know, you have to find out. So yeah, this was enjoyable. It was sweet, little like romantic thing, but it was very like unbelievable, I guess. And personally, I do usually read for like some believableness and representation, which I didn't really get. It was just like, this would never happen. But I mean, you do read to escape and see unreal things, so it was fine. But if you're after more sort of like development and like stuff, then no, it's just sort of like a romantic plot. But yeah, fine. Then I read A Guide for Christmas by Casey Wells. This book was honestly so annoying. Basically we follow Robin, who wants to like get a boyfriend for Christmas and like lose his virginity. He's 18 and he's interested in like a teacher from his school that never actually taught him, but it's still a bit okay. I totally forgot his name, the other guy's name, and I don't really care. But basically it's just sort of about like their relationship, I guess, and like trying to like experiment with things. There is some good things, but I do feel like it was, a lot of the writing was kind of bad. And I have read like hanky panky scenes in books before, which have been fine, but this is my first experience with actual like smut, and it was clear the author like put more emphasis in these parts, and like they were written fine, but like it was extremely repetitive and just like quite just not very good really. And a lot of the things that I actually wanted to like read more of was just glossed over. So yep, I didn't enjoy this. 2 stars. A little bit generous in my opinion, but whatever. Then I read New Year Same Trash by Samantha Irby. I gave 3.75 stars. This is basically the author thinking about different resolutions that she set out to accomplish the year before, and then she goes thinking about like, did I actually do them, and if not, like why. And it's like totally fine to have this like new year, like it's totally fine to not actually do them, because like this energy of like new year new me sort of like goes off in like the first few weeks. So this was funny. Her like wit and humor was very like, came across easily, it wasn't forced, and I'll definitely be interested in reading some more things by her. And then the last book I read was a poetry collection called Bestiary by Danica Kelly. I gave this 3.75 stars as well. In it she uses like animals, like mythology, to like tell different like poems, like different things that about like different like things in her life, and like some like trigger warning topics. Like I'm not that experienced with poetry, so some I didn't really get all too well, but there was some like ones I did like get the meaning from, and they're all written quite like well and poeticified, and yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It's quite like a short little collection. There isn't really no structure, but I guess it doesn't need to have one. And yeah, So they were all the books I read in December. So do check out the playlist if you want to see more about any of these other videos. Please give me a like if you like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you have a nice January and rest of 2023, and I shall see you soon. Bye bye.